Alright, so this was the hotel where we stayed at tonight. It's in the middle of the forest. It's actually a pretty nice. It's a relaxation spot. And the forest road that leads to the hotel. Very bumpy though. Alright, so I parked my bike at the nearby parking and now I'm going up to the castle itself. And what's cool is that on the way up they have these small market booths, which is like probably in the old times when the soldiers or the inhabitants of the castle would leave the castle. They'd meet the street traders and so on. Take a look. So this is the way down. Alright, so we've arrived at the Zamek Ogrodzieniec and we're climbing up a mountain in motorcycle gear, which is always fun. And I also have a backpack with all the important things I have with me, like the computer. We're standing near the entrance gateway to the castle. And what is interesting about this gate over here, about this entrance, is that it was built between two rocks. One over there and one over here. And there's the entrance in the middle. And the people who built this hundreds of years ago thought that it would be useful to use these rocks as part of the wall, probably to save on materials. So that was the medieval castle here in the town of Ogrodzieniec, and now we're off to Auschwitz. Alright, so we've arrived. We can see the edge of the camp over there. Let me get my motorcycle ready and we'll go to explore on site. See you there. Alright, so it turns out there's a ticket office or something. I didn't quite understand from the guard over there, but he said go that way, 3 kilometers that way. Over the bridge, turn left, turn right, whatever. So I'm walking there, half dead from the heat. So what you can see here are still shots of the Auschwitz-Birkenau camp. Unfortunately, I couldn't film much, and I thought it was not appropriate to do any vlogging style videos there. What you can see are basically various things I saw during the trip. It was a guided tour in English. It was really interesting, however, extremely sad, as you might imagine. Seeing all this massive place, especially during the COVID crisis, where there are not that many tourists there, so you can actually see how large and how silent it is at such times. What was interesting, however, was that, and I didn't know this, Auschwitz, people think is one single camp, but there are actually two camps. One is Auschwitz camp, and then there's another one which is called Birkenau camp, which is 3 kilometers away from the main camp. And actually, Birkenau camp is where I went in the beginning to buy the ticket, and they told me to go to the main camp. And there's a story as to why there are two camps and how they came about. But if you're interested in this, I suggest you study this yourself. In any case, I hope I made you at least a little bit curious about this place and learning more about the history that happened here. But this is all I can show you in this video. Alright, so we're basically right in the center of Gliwice. I imagine this is the main street, I'm not sure, but it looks absolutely beautiful. So I imagine it's the main street, otherwise the whole city is way too beautiful. If this is not the main street, I'm just gonna go buy some bottles of water for tomorrow's trip, and then we're gonna have dinner. Good morning on day 11 on this trip. Today we're going to a much more industrial mine called Guido Mine. I'm around 10 kilometers away from it, a little bit more, I think 10 to 15 basically. So that's going to be a short trip. And after that we have a much longer trip. We're going to Austria. We're crossing all Czech Republic, all Czechia today, and going to Austria. I'm thinking I will go west probably to Salzburg and, well, basically that way, that part of Austria. So this time we're around 320 meters underground at this Guido mine, which is a 19th century mine. This is the deepest level I've gotten to in any of these mines. And it's like 100-story buildings. You might think 320 meters is deep, but actually the deepest mine in the world is in South Africa. It is over 3.9 kilometers deep. So the cages that we used to go down were these ones over here. And as I told you, and as you saw in the previous mines we visited, they used horses as well. And of course I was wondering how these horses get transported downstairs because the cage is too small. And the answer is that they were lowered down on these ropes like this. And I mean, the cage was just simply too small. Of course it was very stressful for the horse itself, and you know, darkness, new sounds, no sun, no earth above under its feet, and the transport could actually take several hours. So this is how they got transported down and were used in these mines up until the mid 20th century. And they mined coal instead of salt here. So you may ask if the people above ground could feel the activities of mining down here. This is actually a seismological center, but the answer obviously is yes. And the earthquakes that the people above ground could feel could actually reach the levels of 4 degrees on Richter's scale. Which means, you know, houses were shaking. Miners often took birds to the mine because they had to work in silence
so birds could sing and keep them company.
Proszę Państwa, nie wiem, czy ktoś z Państwa jechał pociągiem Pendolino. Jechał ktoś z Was?
Since coal had to be transported even for kilometers, they used these conveyor belts, like this one over here. Alright, so that was the Guido mine, hard black gold. And that concludes our trip in Poland. Alright, so we just crossed the border. So welcome to Austria. Right, so I just arrived at the hotel. This is my room over here. I can see the street, which is nice as well. And that's gonna be it for today. It's been a long trip. I think around 500 kilometers, so I'm pretty tired. I'm gonna eat dinner now, and then I'll see you tomorrow. See ya!